Good morning. Your profit yesterday was determined on whether you got involved in the derby match, Liverpool and Man United. Before we go on, if you fancy a free trading course and free Premier League research at the weekend, then footballtradingprofits.com. Betfair trading made easy. The link is in the description for the YouTube video. Do make sure you're subscribed to youtube.com at Football Trading Profits. I'm here in the UK or Guernsey till the 3rd of February, so I hope to get some midweek live streams for you, but it's going to be very, very quiet today. Having a look at yesterday, a couple of calls. Did we or did you get out with the profit? Ipswich still, despite the scoreline, are a very tough team to score against for London opponents. Penalty. That backs up my argument. Very, very tight against the Arsenal, weren't they, Ipswich? Chelsea couldn't score against them. Fulham required 2 penalties. It was very unlucky for Ipswich. So I got out with a marginal loss in this one. It all depended on how you went around this. I always try to leave a small loss on the draw in the hope that Fulham will clinch the win. But very aware of this tough to score element. So a very marginal loss there. Liverpool and Man Utd, it's all determined on whether you took on that Manchester United lead. If you did, well done. Particularly getting out here. It is a local derby after all. And to be honest, Man United could have got away with the win had old Wurzel Gummidge, Harry Maguire, managed to keep his shot down at the death. So if you made a profit out of that, well done. The only real other profit, yes, I know, I keep telling you, don't get involved. But extenuating circumstances here. We've got a Premier League side. It's 2-2 late on. There's a Racing Santander red card. What are you going to do? You're going to check the in-play stats. You even got Julio Iglesias playing for Celta Vigo. Fantastic. As long as it stops him singing, then life is good. Took an own goal to get the 2-2 or the 2-1 lead for Racing Santander, considering they were red carded earlier on as well. So I missed out all of the fun at the 2-1, but I did get involved with this late one. I did tell you to lay the late draw on Telegram. I hope you got on. I think I got on at 1.22 and then it suddenly went up to 1.35. That's probably because Julio Iglesias started singing. No, it was because of the extra time. So I really hope you got on at short odds. That's what it's all about. Low risk, high return. The end of matches is where it's at. So if you got involved with that, then it would have been a profitable day for you. Particularly if you got involved with Manchester United as well. French Ligue 1, very, very difficult, but Marseille doing exactly what we expected, but a comfortable lead by half-time. Arguably, could have taken on that Auxerre lead. Strasbourg proving very effective. Lens were dominating the in-play stats, but the red card proved their undoing. And Brest, well, they're just poor away from home. It's one of those very difficult to trust matches, and it's perhaps reflected in the odds there. 2.4, the favourite. Italian Serie A, very difficult set of fixtures yesterday. Absolutely no surprise to see yet another Torino 0-0. If you want to cure your insomnia, get a season ticket to Torino. My goodness. It's just a snooze fest. How many 0-0s have they had? Or tight matches? 0-0 here. Or how many failings to score? Failed to score, 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 failed to score. Couldn't be trusted at all. Parma, I think, newly promoted, aren't they? They're putting in some good fixtures good results recently, apart from that Roma drubbing. They do have goals in them, but as ever with Torino this season particularly, you cannot take on that 0-0 unless you take it on very, very late at very low risk. Lecce and Genoa. This scoreline typifies 2.81, the favourite. Basically, that's near enough the highest odds you can get for a favourite in a football match. It's basically the market also telling you we haven't got a clue. Well done to Claudio Ranieri's Roma. Again, it's a derby. I don't tend to play derbies. Looking on to today, and it's Wolves against Nottingham Forest. So because there's only a smattering of matches of interest today. I thought I'd picked them out already, but it must have been on another. No. Okay, let's go back. Wolves against Nottingham Forest. Let's have a look via soccerstats.com for that one. Don't forget, new manager syndrome for Wolverhampton Wanderers is probably why Nottingham Forest are only 2.38. I say only because you know what position they're in the league. This has been an exceptional December for Nottingham Forest. Only Manchester City have beaten them and have beaten every single side since the 30th of November, bar City. Clean sheets in 3 consecutive matches as well. 2 London opponents there. And Everton, who can keep clean sheets themselves. So that in itself is an impressive result. Scoring 2 goals against Everton, who've had a case of the old 0-0-itis recently. New manager syndrome is the problem we have in reading Wolverhampton Wanderers. 2 wins and a draw now, scoring 2+ goals. That is why it's only 2.32 the favourite for a side in such good form as Forest. So on paper, you'd be siding with Forest, but you cannot discount this new manager. It's a real problem. Scored in the last 9 at home, but we're only looking at the last 3 matches. We can't look at anything under Gary O'Neill. New manager, new changes. So we can only look at those 3 matches in isolation, which makes this a difficult match to read. Which Wolves turns up? Forest, well, look at that, near 100% wins against 11th and lower this season. 1-1 the last time these two met. But as ever with Wolves, we can't take any of this to heart at all. This is under Gary O'Neill. They are picking up good results, but tend to be against lower tier sides. So there's still that element of concern with Wolverhampton Wanderers, particularly scoring and conceding and losing against the top 7. But that, again, is under Gary O'Neill. So it's a tough match to unpack. 2 goal a game. Wolves, do note this for Nottingham Forest. If they are behind at half-time, or it's 0-0 at half-time, 67% of their goals scored away have come second half. This is season long for Wolves, so yet again the caveat is that's mostly Gary O'Neill's work. It's not the new manager's work. The new manager's work is scoring 2+ goals and winning 2 out of 3. So who's he got really working for him? Strand Larsen and Hee-chan. Hwang Hee-chan again, scoring in 2 consecutive matches. So that's impressive. And that is the Portuguese element left over from Nuno Espirito Santo. Oh, Santa Claus doing a fine job there. Chris Wood is back and scoring. So you've got to be very careful. Anthony Elanga, in Chris Wood's absence, has scored in 3 of his last 4. So watch out. Chris Wood and Anthony Elanga are the 2 main threats for Nottingham Forest. Fascinating match, but I'm afraid it's clouded by the new manager syndrome, I call it. That, folks, is why it's 2.32 the favourite. Let's have a look at QPR and Luton. The market is saying, sorry, mate, we're finding this one very difficult to unpack as well. 2.57 the favourite. So immediately you're getting clues from the market makers that this might not be a very good match to trade this evening, unless you want to do the neutral route. QPR and Luton, it's geographical derby-ish. Luton newly relegated and not performing like a newly relegated side. You'd have thought with a Premier League season under their belts, they could be a lot more competitive. But no, away from home, it's falling apart. QPR at home, having a superb run of 4 consecutive home wins. But we've got to put that into context of where are the opponents in the league that they're beating. If it's all bottom 3, bottom 4, then that takes the gloss off that recent 4-match winning run. But you can see the streaks and sequences. 9 consecutive away defeats for Luton. No draw in 11 away, so any late draw. And 0-0 is a draw, don't forget, as well, isn't it? Streaks and sequences for QPR. No defeat in 5 at home, 4 consecutive home wins, scoring in the last 6, scoring 2+ goals in the last 4 at home. So despite the odds, QPR's form on paper looks a lot more accomplished. But this is a mid-table QPR against a bottom 5 Luton. And suddenly there's struggles against the bottom sides at home. What's going on there? Scoring and conceding without winning. So that puts a whole question mark on QPR's recent winning form. Unless you want to take the winning form over season-long form, because they're beating sides above Luton in the league at home in the last 4 matches. So it's interesting, isn't it? Season-long, you'll note the struggles against 19th and lower. Recent momentum solidly with QPR. Win against Norwich, win against Oxford, win against Preston, win against Watford. All above Luton Town in the league. And the only 4 wins they've had at home have come in the last 4 home matches. So on momentum, you're absolutely with QPR today. Luton Town playing 16th today, and they've only played 2 of teams 16th and lower. So I've got a big question mark because they're performing very well against 17th and lower, albeit with home advantage. But away from home, it's a no man's land, isn't it? They've played the top 15, but they've not played really 16th to 20th. So we don't know, question mark, about how they're going to perform. But certainly for me, QPR's odds look very good value on recent momentum, not on form against 19th and lower, where they score and concede without winning. Luton Town trouble defensively. You can see quite clearly, especially at the back end of the first half, beginning of the second. Note, if they're winning by a single goal in the 75th minute, they might be vulnerable. QPR, well, 50-50 scoring-wise. And on their recent momentum, of course, you're solidly with them, aren't you? So interesting market. Non-committal market. 2.62 the favourite. That's awful, isn't it? Again, it's like yesterday's matches. It's telling you we haven't got a clue, mate. The only other match, Portuguese Primeira Liga, Gil Vicente against Rio Ave. And yet again, it's a non-committal market. But given it's a quiet coupon, we've got the luxury of looking at soccerstats.com. And it will probably come to the same conclusion. It's probably not a match that we can readily trade. Again, recent momentum is with Gil Vicente here. 2 clean sheets in the last 3, including an impressive 0-0 against Sporting Lisbon with home advantage. Really good recent form for Gil Vicente at home, you'll have to argue. Only the 1 loss coming against Boavista. And that was it was 0-2. So a late 1-2. But that's the only real aberration at home for them. Rio Ave, 2 consecutive 1-0 away defeats. That will be slightly troubling. Failing to score in 3 of the last 4. Make that 4, make that 5, make that 6 of their last 7 away. They've failed to score. So that Sudden 0-2 against Boavista, who coincidentally beat Gil Vicente, is interesting. But there's a real struggle for goals. No draw in 8 away. You might want to lay any late draw if you want that pattern to continue. 11th against 10th, and really Gil Vicente at home, pretty good. But they only do their winning against 13th and lower. 3 draws at home against the top 7. It's away from home that they really struggle, isn't it, Gil Vicente? So really, if they want to keep their momentum going, they'll be looking to remain unbeaten at home. Rio Ave have just advertised their failure to score against 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 13th and 14th. So if they score first, do you really think they're going to score a second consecutive goal? Doing their best work at home as well, Rio Ave. So a real story for these two. Home momentum is where it's at. Looking at the goal times table might give you an avenue in. Well, you can see only 3 goals scored away for Rio Ave. And 2 of them were scored in one match against bottom of the league. So favouring Gil Vicente here, but again, like QPR, it's a non-committal market, isn't it? Some other fun and games for you today. Premier League 2, Professional Development League, well known for over 2.5 goals. You're going to have to delay though, because the market knows very well about this goal element. Professional, there it is. 74% over 2.5 goals in the English Professional Development League. So what I would do there, your initial instinct will be to look at Swansea and Colchester. So we can go to the English Professional Development League. Look at, if I can get there, stats for the league. And then you can go, I think, looking at the actual teams themselves. So I'll just see if I can figure that out for you. So we've got the total goal stats here. Look at our 2 teams playing today. That's Swansea and Colchester. Let's see where they measure up. Colchester, 75% over 2.5 goals in a 74% over 2.5 goal league. Swansea, 75% over 2.5 goals in a 74% over 2.5 goal league. Highly unlikely we're going to get any value out of this, so you've got to be creative if you're going to be doing overs here. You're going to have to hope it's 0-0 after 15 minutes or so. You'll get a smooth move upwards of the prices. We don't have 2.5 goals yet. No, we don't have the 2.5 goal odds yet there. So sorry about that. So what I would do here, I would look to delay 15 minutes and hope that the odds go up enough for us to be able to back over 2.5 goals at, I would say, 1.7, 1.8 or higher. Look for a goal before half time, cash out and make a green screen. If it's 1-0 at half time, back over 2.5 goals at evens or higher second half, hopefully. If it's 0-0 at half time, I would back over 1.5 goals second half at evens or higher. You're only looking for that single goal then. That's my way of using or working the over 2.5 goals in this particular league. Again, we don't have the odds, which is a pity. Oh, here we go. Over and under. You can see 2.5 goals, 1.28. That's typical of this league. So you're not getting any value unless you're being creative. The only way to be creative is to delay entry into the market. Premier League 2 is similar story to the Professional Development League. Copa del Rey, well, you saw Celta Vigo yesterday. It's those kind of circumstances that I would entertain getting involved in the Copa del Rey. We're highly likely to see a full Real Madrid side. They've been a little starved of football. Atletico Madrid, for example, against Marbella, played the first 11. Wow, that's already a sign for you. So watch out, 106. I wouldn't be rushing in yet. Real Madrid, you can have a look at their Copa del Rey form. The best website to do that, to look at individual form, in a certain competition is uk.soccerway.com. They've also done a preview for you as well, if you're interested in that. But I would look at how Real Madrid set up. This is a Segunda RFEF. It's not the actual Segunda division. It's a lot lower than that, I think. Copa del Rey for Real Madrid. Who do they lose against? It only tends to be the big guns, doesn't it? So that's already an indicator that we're expecting a bit of a goal fest from Real Madrid. They only tend to lose against the big guns. But does it take them a while to get stuck in? Well, let's have a look. Second half goals, you'll note. Joselu, Diaz, Rodrigo. Again, Rodrigo again. He might like it. Karim Benzema, well, that's going back a few years, isn't it? Because he's sunning himself in Saudi Arabia. Oblak and Joselu. So, again, only losing to a top flight side. So you'll be expectant of them today. And Deportivo Minera. This is only their third match in the Copa del Rey, beating Alaves from the top flight. But a lot of red cards involved there, but those come after extra time. So 1.06, probably not going to get much out of this unless it's 0-0 at half time, like the Arandina match. And then you'd be looking at Real Madrid converting that 1.06 into 3+ goals. It's usually my day off on a Monday. I'm meeting an old friend from way back in the 1980s. He's had a bit of a tough time of it. It's always nice to catch up with my old mate. So looking forward to that. It's a tough coupon tonight. New manager presents problems in reading how Wolves was set up against Nottingham Forest. So you've got to be very wary about that today. All the other matches, Championship 2.62, but you're firmly with QPR on recent momentum. I'm not sure why it's 2.62, the favourite only. Premier League 2, Professional Development League, Premier League Cup. You've got an over 2.5 goal slant with those. Copa del Rey, you'd be looking, hopefully, for Real Madrid to keep it 0-0 at half time and then score their 3+ goals. Liga Ha'al makes no appeal today. Maccabi Haifa odds on at home at 6:30. Some of these matches have been available on Betfair. So that's it today. Very, very quiet day. A lot of question marks about some of the matches. But fear not, we start getting very busy on Saturday. French Liga, Bundesliga returns. Wonderful to see them back, because we've been having to deal with English League 1, English League 2. Netherlands are back from their winter break. Italian Serie A returns. Spanish La Liga is back. Fantastic stuff. And as long as we've got those leagues, we've got their secondary leagues as well. Got the Belgian Jupiler League back. These are all our familiar leagues on a Saturday. This is more like it. Even the Czech 1 League is readable. English League 1 as ever. English League 2. And we've got probably the second tier in Italy and Spain. French League 2. We've got Italian Serie B. Greek Super League. This is more like it, isn't it? We've had to sit on our hands a bit and suffer. But this is much more like it. So you're going to get a live stream out of me. Spanish La Liga 2 as well. Familiar names: Sporting Gijón, Tenerife, Malaga, Huesca used to be in the top flight. So really looking forward to Saturday and the return of a live stream, as long as my throat remains okay. Turkish 1 League, Besiktas. Really good stuff. We're going to have a similar story on Sunday as well, with the return of the Winter League breakers. French League 1, Bundesliga, Leipzig having a woeful 2024 end. I wouldn't be trusting them with stolen money at the moment. Stuttgart look a bit of value, but do we have pre-Champions League to worry about? Serie A, Inter Milan against Venezia should be a banker. Roma, well, they just scored 2 against Lazio in the local derby. Napoli should be on the win. Eredivisie, great to see that back as well on a Sunday. Atletico Madrid, really solid form so far. So excellent stuff. So we'll have to just sit on our hands a bit, be disciplined. It's a tough coupon today. Best of luck if you're playing. I might see members on Telegram. Hopefully pick out one or two winning plays like I did yesterday. Have a great day.